We're talking Hytale magic today. We're talking Hytale magic, and I will be repeatedly looking at my email to see if I've gotten my code yet, because I haven't gotten it. I don't want to miss it. I'm a little bit stressed. If you're watching this later, on YouTube, there is a video that just goes over the basics of the world, deities, all that sort of stuff. If you don't know any of that, you might want to start there. That might be helpful. It's also worth pointing out that Simon has confirmed that the team is looking back over all lore elements that they have, and obviously we've already stated in these videos and streams that what we do in here is purely speculation and purely for fun. So, stone circles and crystals. This is one of the most important elements that I think is going to play a role in the magic system. We have this iconography set from the concept art. We can see the elements of Gaia that are surrounding the element of air. And so if you don't know, Gaia is basically the presumed benevolent deity of the world of Orbis. These are the elements that comprise the world of Orbis. And then we have the void, which is the big bad Varen's element in the center. It looks like we get these stone circles that are separated by the different zones. If you don't know, each zone has a particular element associated with it. These stone circles seem to be found in every single zone, and they seem to correspond with the element that represents that zone, right? So I think I might have found an example of all of them. I'm a little iffy on the Zone 4 Fire one, but walk with me here, okay? Walk with me. So the Earth one is very straightforward. We have a bunch of screenshots of these. We can see all of these pillars, a stone circle, surrounding these glowing crystals. And we can see the green representing Earth. So if you look at this iconography, all of these elements have a particular color associated with them. And so green here being Earth, we get the green crystals inside of these stone circles. You can see them both on the plinth in the center, and you can see them inside of the pillars themselves. I have this theory that you can go to these different stone circles to, I don't know, unlock or access different types of magic. It seems like these have something to do with Gaia, and it seems like that magic comes from Gaia, so it would make sense that if there's some aspect of elemental magic in the game, that this could be a location where you can get each of those. And I have a little more to that theory later, so remember that, and we're going to come back to it. But yeah, we get these plinths in the middle. The design on them looks very much like this little earth elemental, and we can also see an earth golem back there, which is very cool. I don't know if the golems spawn at these sites, because we can see a corrupted golem in a sort of Temple of Gaia dungeon. So maybe they are at places that are relevant to Gaia. Not sure. But we get these Zone 1 stone circles. This is Zone 2. So if we go back here a little bit, we can see Zone 2 is wind. That's freedom. Again, if you're lost, go check out some of the older videos that I have, because there's a lot here. It's too much to explain all in one stream. But Zone 2 is represented by wind. That's freedom. We can see here, we get the sand pillar here for Zone 2's stone circle, which you can see in the background right there beneath my face. We get another little glimpse of them here behind this void spawn. We can see the stone circles and the blue crystals glowing inside. We can also see this one in Zone 3. Again, it lines up perfectly with the blue color of water for Zone 3, and for the stone circle concept art. We can see those stone pillars and the blue crystals glowing inside. The next one, I don't know. I was just peeping through this footage. This is back in the 16-minute Breaking the Curse gameplay footage. In the very background here, let me bring in my mouse. There are these pillars, and you can see a couple little red lights. Maybe this is just landscape. It could just be world generation. It's generating in pillars, and there's little bits of lava. It could be. But it potentially looks like that could be a glimpse at a Zone 4 stone circle. If you look at the concept art for Gaia, we have this little blurb on the right-hand side that is particularly relevant to my theory. The white parts of her clothes symbolize the light, the primary element of Gaia. All these crystals, in every single one of these stone circles, they glow. Even crystals elsewhere in the world, they all glow. Maybe that's a coincidence. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think that Gaia's light is represented in the crystals, right? And potentially you can go to these sites where the crystals are centered on these pedestals and get some sort of elemental magic. Obviously, this is not going to be in the game at launch. This is just my own speculation about where they might take it based on what they've dropped in the past. You can even see in some of the dungeons in the game, you can see these little plinths that also have crystals. We have one right here. This is old gameplay footage from a while ago. You can see it at the very back of the room. We're going to get a little closer. It's right here. This little plinth with a crystal on it once again. So potentially you can also go through dungeons in these different zones and reach these crystals that seem to have some sort of magical purpose. We can also see in this ruin, this is a human ruin in Zone 1, we can see these plinths that have crystals on the center of them inside of this courtyard in the ruin, which is very interesting. We can also see in this concept art for the Scarrick architecture, there is a little blurb over here on the right-hand side. You can see the light of the crystal glowing from the inside, and we can see down here that underground somewhere they have something labeled a crystal room. You can even see in this concept art that it's glowing from the inside. And again, Zone 2's crystals in the stone circles are that pale blue color that you can also see represented here. What they're doing with it, why they have the crystal, what they're using it for, your guess is as good as mine. But I definitely think that there is some sort of magical property to those crystals because they're being used in these different structures. They're in the stone circles. They're in the Scarrick architecture. How and what the purpose is, I don't know. Maybe the game devs don't even know yet as they're uncovering all of these old files and going through lore and all of that stuff, but it gets my brain turning. Oh, here's another dungeon. Here's another dungeon you can see in Zone 2. We have yet another set of crystals on a plinth here in that dungeon art. Now, what can you do with these crystals? Staffs and wands. We can see in the game, both in actual screenshots and gameplay and concept art, that we have magical staffs in the game that are made with crystals. And it even looks like these crystals might correspond to these different elements. We got the green for earth, we got the blue for water, we got the light blue for wind, and then we also have these wands, and we have, I'm actually going to move my face a little bit here. You can see an ethereal dagger, and you can also see a ruined runic sword. I've got another theory about the iconography and runes being represented in books in the game that you could inscribe onto weapons, or just runes that you can inscribe onto weapons in order to imbue them with elemental power. Again, it's just a theory, but remember that because I'm going to come back to that as well. Now, the wands we really don't know much about at all, but the staffs we really see quite a lot of, and we get to see them in action as well. We have a few more little bits of concept art for staffs down there, and then we also, over here, we have weapons over here that look like they have some void power on them with little sigils inscribed onto them, which is another thing that we see later on as well. So, remember that also. We progress. We have several different types of staffs that we see in the game. Here's a Trork Shaman that has a staff. We can see it here inside of the game as well. We can see this nature-looking staff with a green crystal. This is actually a new photo from the cosmetics that are dropping with the different game versions. This staff we see quite a few times. We can see it here. This is from the original trailer. It's all the way, or art that came out near the trailer. It's all the way back there. We can see it right here. We can see it back here. This is in the Breaking the Curse gameplay. That 16-minute gameplay. We can see it in the background as well. I just threw this in for a little bit of a reference. I'm pretty sure, because we see these a few times too, and at first I thought, oh, they have magic staff too. I don't think they do. I think those are like staffs. I think they're just like walking sticks, and that they're not magical, because I think it's when they have the crystal that it's a magic staff, and that this is just a cute little staff. We got this one. My face is in the way. We've got this one right here. that seems to have some sort of ice magic to it, because we can actually see this character later on. This is from the original trailer years ago. There's this ice spell that takes out a few skeletons here that is shot from that staff. We can also see this one with a red crystal in it that is loosing fire magic at this Outlander, and we can see that staff again there. So this is really reinforcing my theory. All these stone circles have different colored crystals. The color of the crystal changes depending on the zone you're in. When you're in a different zone, there is a different elemental focus, and each of those colored crystals seems to correspond to the magic that you can wield with that staff. So for example, red crystal would be found in zone 4, element of fire. You can see it shooting a fireball. This one, a blue crystal, element of water, zone 3, and you can see it shooting that ice. And we know zone 3 is this frozen, watery wasteland. I think I'm cooking. I think I'm on to something here. We can also see this one here. So this is in zone 2. We get a light blue crystal. I don't think we actually see these in action, but I would assume, based on the last two, you know, red being fire and this blue being water, that this light blue would then be some sort of wind or air magic. We can see it again right here. And then there's this staff. This one I'm going to come back to a little bit later. It doesn't have a crystal in it, at least not one that's visible. But it seems to have some sort of important association with the Outlanders. Maybe they use it in their rituals. Again, your guess is kind of as good as mine, but we're going to come back to that in a little bit. Oh, we can also see this one here. This is Outlander concept art, and we can see this staff being wielded that definitely has a crystal in it. I don't think we've ever seen that in the game or anywhere else, but it does look very cool. It does look very cool. And then lastly, we can see another little staff in the hands of this skeleton right down here. So, we get the magic in the staffs, but it also seems like we can imbue weapons with magic or just discover them with magic on them. I don't know if it's something that you'll be able to attach to an item, but we can see here, this axe right here is the same sort of axe that we saw from the concept art a little while ago, where it has these sigils inscribed onto it, and it looks like it's got some sort of void-like power. This one in particular consumes the soul of your slain enemies. And then we have the fire sword over here, which is a sword enchanted with fire. We're going to come back to that one in just a second as well. These are just a few inventory screenshots. I'm going to go to the old one first. This is an old one. No telling if anything like this will still be in the game, but we can see that there's a little book slot down here at the bottom, which does make me wonder if that is supposed to be some sort of enchanting slot. I don't imagine that they'll go with something that is like a direct imitation of another block game in that way. But in this newer version of the inventory, we see these little icons right here that seem to pop open different sections up here. Then we have a backpack down here. Then beneath the backpack, we've got, it looks like an anvil with an attempt at the symbol of Gaia. I mean, usually when we see 5 little prongs or 5 rays, 5 dots, whatever the case is, that's something to do with Gaia. And so I wonder if this is not an opportunity to enchant items within your inventory. If this little segment of the inventory right here has something to do with magic that you can get from Gaia and attach to different weapons that you have. But we do see this fire sword quite a bit. We see it right here. We can see it in the trailers. This person is approaching the big old Yeti back there. We can see it as this person is approaching a dungeon right here. Then we can see this. This is not a fire sword. I don't know if this type of weapon has a name, but clearly this is a fire weapon. And we can also see back here, this looks like a fire bow. I don't think we've seen anything like this elsewhere, but that definitely looks like a fire bow to me. Then we can see, this is in zone 2, so element of wind. We can see this is the iconography for wind, the sigil for wind right here on this bow. We can see it right here on this axe too. I think there's a screenshot where you can see it on a sword as well. This could be purely aesthetic. It could just be, these are weapons that you can find in zone 2, and people have inscribed them with these runes because, you know, it makes sense for that part of the world. It could also be if it has these runes attached to it, maybe it has part of that power too. I don't know. But this one, we can also see in the background, definitely looks like some sort of ice sword back there. So it looks like you can imbue different weapons with different types of elemental magic, which is really cool. You can even see in this concept art that Kairos, the corrupted soldier, has a void imbued sword of some sort that really reminds me of both that axe and the concept art from further back that had those little sigils and glowing purple energy attached to it. And then we have the towers. So there is reference, I showed this in a past video, in the soundtrack to a bunch of mage towers, and we can see this concept art. They seem to be represented by different elements, just like the stone circles are, and we can see things that might be those sorts of towers all throughout the world in both concept art and screenshots and gameplay that we've seen. I've got a couple different types of towers in here. I don't know which one is more indicative of a mage or wizard tower, but we can see another one in the background right there. This is this very pointy tower. We see another one right there. And then there's this rounded type of tower as well. I don't know if this is something completely different or if it's just another version of the same kind of thing. We can see another one of the pointed ones here. Here is a Howling Sands version of the other one, the rounded one. Here is a Borea version of that one, which we can see a little closer up right here as well. And we can see another Emerald Grove one in the background over there, as well as one of these dungeon gates, which also seem like they may be elementally charged, so maybe that's another opportunity to explore the world and collect these different types of elemental magic as you progress. We can see in this concept art they have a bunch of different versions of these corresponding, it looks like, to different elements. We got, you know, the fire, the void, we've got the earth, so on and so forth. Which brings me to portals. Because portal craft does seem to be a significant part of the magic system here. It doesn't seem to be tied to any particular element, but we do see in that 16-minute Breaking the Curse gameplay video that a portal is opened to a place called Bleakroot Bog using crystals that seem to be discoverable in-game. They are different crystals from the crystals that you would find at the stone circles or that you would use in staffs, but it looks like, at least in that version of the game, you're meant to open a portal using crystals. So clearly in this world, those crystals do contain some sort of power. Gaian magic. There's a few places that we see this represented. Again, this is pure speculation. Gaian magic. We have these statues of Gaia that we can actually see in a few places throughout the world. We'll get to those in a minute. But with the Quebecs, they seem to have a very particular reverence for Gaia, which makes sense given that, you know, they are born of the earth, which seems to be Gaia. They eventually return to the earth. And we can even see these concept arts. I'm going to move my head a little bit. We've got a little staff over there that has a crystal in it. I don't think we ever see those in game, but we do see it here in the concept art. And we have this little image here. Nature is not always green. And we do see, as we progress through the different zones of the world, there are different creatures that seem to be imbued with different elemental magic, right? So the Quebecs, obviously, we got the nature magic that they're imbued with. In other areas, we have these other creatures that are also imbued with the element of that area. We even see this in the skeletons, where the appearance of the skeletons changes depending on the zone that they're in. And so you get these ones that look very icy in Borea, you get these ones that look fiery in the Devastated Lands, and so on. Back to the horrible video. You can see, let me try to get my mouse over it. Right over here. Just watch here. Yeah, that's a little statue of Gaia right there in this Quebec treehouse. We can see in this, it looks like a Quebec settlement in Zone 3. We can actually see a plinth a little further down that has a statue of Gaia there as well. So clearly, wherever they are going, they are worshipping Gaia and have a very deep reverence for her. This I went over a little bit in other videos. I'm going to touch on it super briefly. The fact that it seems like we have these structures that lead us to Gaian portals and temples in the world of Orbis. We can see one of them in the background right here. It looks like a place where you might be able to enter one of those temples. But What I didn't talk about before is this other magical looking element up here that are labeled memory mirrors or memory windows. And this is the only reference, to my knowledge, that we ever get of this. But we can see that they seem to be placed, at least in this concept art, inside a Temple of Gaia. Once again, worth reiterating that we don't know if this will actually make it into the game, or if it does, what it will actually look like. All we have to go off of is concept art, which we know may very well be outdated. But it does make me wonder if these are opportunities for you to glimpse elements of the past and start to understand the relationship that these deities have to the world and things that have impacted the world before. We've theorized in other videos these past events that might have happened in different zones, like ones that left those giant skeletons over in Zone 2, or ruined the landscape in Zone 4, and maybe these mirrors or windows are a chance for you to observe some of the things that have happened and understand them a little bit better. Inside of these Gaian temples, when you go through a portal, it looks like you get to these temples that have all of these different towers representing different elements. And the thing that really stood out to me here is twofold. One, that the setup of this, the layout of them, looks very similar to the stone circles, where you get these towers that are in a roughly circular shape and a sort of lower entrance area at the beginning. And also the fact that we saw a Emerald Grove or Earth Golem in one of those stone circles, and we can see a golem in this one as well, which does make me wonder if there's a sort of alignment between this like circular shape and the golems, and maybe protecting some of the magic in these spaces. We go a little bit further, we can also see that there does seem to be, I mean, here we can see this is a Temple of Gaia, and there is Varen's corruption at work. And we can see that that corruption versus Gaia struggle is played out in a few different areas of the game. Even here, we can see it inside an Emerald Grove dungeon where we have this Void Spider, and you can see the Void Spider's moving towards a rooted adult Quebec. This is clearly part of Gaia's magic that is being attacked by Varen's power in the form here of these spiders. We're into Varen magic. Sacrifices. All right, walk with me. As you progress through the world of Orbis, you begin to see more and more of Varen's corruption. From what I can tell, just based off of gameplay, concept art, and screenshots that we've got, even very recent stuff, it seems like that Void Varen influence ramps up a lot when you hit Zone 3, Borea. We can see here in the Corrupted Forest, there's plenty of examples of, corrupted creatures in here, and also these corrupted plants. It's all very Varen colored, Varen coded, and you can see even a bunch of his like Varen spawn and void eyes that go through this area all the time. This is, of course, where we find the Outlanders. So there's a few interesting things here. Not only do the Outlanders have their own kind of magic system to themselves, so it seems, but I'm going to move my face a little bit here. We can also see our very first reference over here to alchemy as a type of magic in the game. Local stores of water from resurrection wells. Local stores of water from resurrection wells has some uses in alchemy. We're going to get to potions in alchemy a little bit later. We don't actually know that much. We only have a little bit to go off of. But we do know that the Outlanders in Zone 3 being the zone of water, have corrupted that water with Varen's influence, and they have these pools. You can see art of them here, and we actually have some images later as well, where they conduct arcane acts and potentially sacrifices and resurrection with this magic that they have. We also get a few little glimpses of these cauldrons that seem to be full of that void water as well, which I would bet has a role in this magic also. This is obviously not in Zone 3, this is just some Halloween art, but we still see that cauldron that's got the void water inside of it. And not only that, but we see what looks like a green bolt of light striking the water, which if you don't know, green and purple is kind of Varen's thing. We even see that cauldron once again in this creative mode over here in the top as a usable item. Now, with the Outlanders themselves and the magic they're conducting, they seem to have these underground pools. Now, what actually powers the magic here, how they get it, how they access that void power is a little bit unclear, but we do have these statues that we've seen a couple images of that seem very Varen coded. We have the symbol of the evil on them, which is that diamond shape. We also see here, this is an actual screenshot of those pools where the magic takes place. We have potentially an Outlander shaman up here with a staff. So this is where it completely all derails into just speculation with no facts whatsoever. We don't know if it's those statues that have the power, if it's just the water, if it's the staffs, if it's all of it combined. We don't know how the ritual works or where they actually get that power from, where their connection to Varen stems from, or how they continue it and enable it. But what we do know is that they can use that water to create these creatures, which seem like they used to just be normal Outlanders, and through some sort of ritualistic practice, they have used Varen's magic to create these monsters. We can see the Varen symbol multiple times, even glowing green atop this person's head. Now, alchemy. So we had this reference to the resurrection wells and the water within them having a use in alchemy, and we can actually see these little jars that look like they contain that void water inside of them in the concept art. There's been very few references to the alchemy and potion system within Hytale. There's been some mention of it potentially, you know, giving people extra boosts in the game. But we don't actually know what it will do. I think it's safe to assume you'll have some sort of healing potion or maybe a stamina potion and things like that that affect the basic game mechanics. Beyond that, your guess is as good as mine. But I would go so far as to theorize that some of these special plants or special flowers or glowing plants like the glowing mushrooms might work as other ingredients for these potions. We can see glowing mushrooms in pretty much every single zone in the world, and given that light is the most important element of Gaia, as stated in that concept art, and the crystals that seem to be magical and are used in staffs and magic in the game have glowing crystals, it would make sense that the glowing flowers and the glowing mushrooms would also have a role in magic, this time in alchemy and potion making. We can see in these screenshots here, there are a couple potions here in this person's house. We see another couple over here. Oh, there's even this glowing one back there. We can see, it looks like potentially a health potion down here. We see this a lot. This has popped up in quite a few different images and videos. We can see one right here. This is in a small little, I wouldn't even call it a dungeon. It's just a platform inside of the caves here where this potion comes from. And we can also see some potions equipped down here in this person's offhand inventory. We see them again back here. There's a few other bottles that look just like those potion bottles back there. And right here, this looks like a use block where you can actually craft them. We can see a few of these throughout the room, right? We get the one here that looks like a little craft bench. We get this one here that's clearly an anvil. And then this one where this avatar is pouring some concoction. And it looks like maybe these are little vials back here, but this definitely looks like a workplace for making potions, which is very cool. Which also means this right here, probably a workstation for cooking food. And then we can see it in the Clops art. I mostly just put this in here to very happily say it looks like the Clops are going to be inside the game. Simon replied to a tweet that said that they're in there. I have to be the #1 Clops fan out there, okay? I need to meet them. I need to meet them. It will be one of my first missions when I play the game. But even here, inside of the Clops home, you can see both a glowing crystal and potentially a little potion up here as well. Alchemy aside, we have totems. This is one of the smallest categories that I have in this whole presentation. This is basically all we ever have, all we ever see of them. We get these totems. This is a healing totem. We can actually see right here when Simon grabs this in the hotbar, it says healing totem, and then it quickly fills up the lost stamina that he has. Whether this is the way they will perpetually work, we don't know. This is just the only example of them that we have so far. And around the very edge of them, you get these things that look like hourglasses. I'm going to guess that this is not a hint at any sort of extra magic or dynamic in the game. My best guess is that these hourglasses denote how long the totem will be active for, and as they decrease, then the power of the totem goes away. When they're empty, the totem deactivates. The only question I have is, do you need a fresh totem to be able to use it again, or can you potentially take it to some sort of site to recharge it? Imagine if you can take these totems to like one of those stone circles, plop it down, and it recharges itself. And so finding those sites would be like some sort of element of safety where not only can you get more power and magic, but you can also recharge these usable items. Again, complete speculation, but it would be pretty cool as a game mechanic. And then we have books. I've got a personal hope for books that I would really love for them to work like a grimoire, where you progress through the game and you learn different spells as you go along through the game. I think that would be so cool. That also brings me once again to my theory that, I mean, we see the inside of these books a little bit in some of the gameplay and screenshots, and it's just kind of blurred squiggles, right? My theory is that in world, in lore, those books are written with the iconography that we see in the concept art, or the sigils that correspond to the different elements in the game, and that maybe that allows the books to actually use that magic. Again, completely a theory, but I think it would be really cool. I would love it if they work like grimoires, though. I think that'd be so much fun. I think that would be so epic. So we see the book right here. The player who is going through this dungeon takes that book and immediately begins casting with it. The only spell that we ever see cast from these books is this green light. That's all I could find in any screenshots, any gameplay, anything at all. It's only that green light. I know that Simon already said the magic system is bare bones and needs a lot of help, and right now they basically just have totems and magic items, presumably stuff like staffs or like, you know, the fire sword and things like that. I'm assuming that they will expand on the magic that are in these books, but right now we see several different types of books in the game. I've seen 3 that I've kept track of so far, but we only see this green magic coming out of them. So we can see it firing back and forth right there from both sides. It doesn't matter if the player or the skeleton has the book, it seems to produce the same magic. We see another one. You can see his book right there that he's holding. And when he locks in on the player, you can see, again, it's that same green magic that's being fired. Obviously, this is no longer in Zone 1, and yet the magic is still green. We see the same thing here, also in the Howling Sands. Still green. I'm assuming, I'm hoping that that will be eventually updated in the game so you can get different flavors of magic and kind of explore and learn different spells as you go along. And then we get this guy right here. I'm going to move my head a little bit. I'm going to move my face. Again, I think it'd just be epic if he was able to shoot, you know, like fireballs out of his spellbook instead of like a green blob. I hope that that's a thing. But we can see different style book here that looks a little bit... You can see the bookmark that's currently dangling below my face looks singed just like the bottom of this guy's robes here. We see another book in action here, once again, with that green magic, and these are those 3 different types of books that I've been able to find. We got this purple-covered one. We've got it looks like a normal spell book with a crystal on the front. Hello, a crystal. And we have this one that definitely looks like some sort of Outlander book because it's got like this skull on the front and a purple cover. In addition, we have a few other last types of magic that seem to be active in the world. Don't know if these tie in with any of the other systems I talked about, but these are just things that I've observed. We have Reanimation. I talked about this a little bit before, where the skeletons seem to be imbued with whatever elemental power is in that region of the world. So these Zone 2 skeletons are all ice-colored and ice-coated. We saw the other one before that looked like an ice skeleton with like spikes coming out of his head and an ice sword. We saw the fire skeleton that was all singed and burned and it had a fiery weapon or a fiery spell book. So that magic seems to still have an elemental connection, the way that they're reanimated, which really makes me wonder if the reason for their reanimation has something to do with Gaia, or maybe Gaia's slumber or imprisonment or whatever's happened to her in the game. We can even see another little spell book in the hand of in the hand of this guy over here. And then we can see, obviously, other animals can be reanimated as well. We had some screenshots of this in past videos also, but seems like pretty much anything can be reanimated, not just people. And that is a very interesting prospect. And that just about brings us to the end. There is one other obvious type of magic that's worth mentioning, though, and that is the simple fact that you as the player are considered an avatar in the game, and thereby have the power to shape the world, which to us as a player seems just normal and fine, but obviously if you're sinking yourself into the verisimilitude of the world of Orbis, somebody who can just change up the way the world looks and morph the terrain is magical all on their own. And then there's one last thing that I had in here that I don't know if it's magic at all, but I just saw it and I was like, I should put this in here somewhere. We get this sketch of an anti-gravity arm in this void spawn. I don't know if that fits into any of the magic we talked about, but I was like, what the hell is an anti-gravity arm? This is the only time I've ever seen it mentioned. I never see it mentioned anywhere else or like in-game anywhere else. It's just here. But that seems like a type of magic, does it not? Anti-gravity? If you're watching this on YouTube instead of on twitch.tv, we do stream every Tuesday and Friday at 11 a.m. PST, and we will be streaming on the day that Hytale releases, which is conveniently already a stream day for us. Let me know if I missed anything in the video, or if you think that I got something wrong, or if you have anything that you would want me to cover about Hytale and its world next, because I've been having so much fun with these videos. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give a like and a share and a subscribe. Anyways, happy Hytale. I'm gonna hop off and I'm gonna check my code again. And I'll see you guys soon. We're doing build battle on Friday, and then we'll be back on Tuesday for a fresh Hytale stream. So peace, thank you for watching, and goodbye. Good night. Good day.